Hey all, welcome to Outsourcing Edge from Remote Recruitment. I'm Emily von Eyssen, and as I always say, let's ditch the drama and hire smarter. Today, Oli Reid from Living Redefined joins me. He's scaled a housing empire with remote savvy. Stick around, later I'll share how to grab free remote hiring playbook to scale like Oli. Hello Oli, please welcome and tell me about you and Living Redefined.
Hi Emily, great to be on the podcast today. We work in the social housing space. We deal at everything in the UK that's anything to do with homelessness. So we are working in the property space with local authorities, landlords, developers, and fundamentally trying to end homelessness here in the UK.
And it's an extraordinary mission. How did you get here? It's an unusual to be.
Well, do you know what? You're the second person to ask me that today already, and it's a freaking question. I don't have a very good answer really, but I just find it when I started this in 2019, it just staggered me. What was I then? I think I was 21, 22. It just staggered me that people still slept on the street, and that it was an issue in and of itself, which I found a bit crazy. So everything we've done since, whether it's acquiring properties, developing them, leasing them, whatever, has all been around, how can we end this, rough sleeping crisis that sadly is only getting worse. We've got 151,000 families in temporary accommodation, and the numbers are only rising, sadly. But that's our sort of goal, and that's how we got onto it, really.
Extraordinary mission. And where you say you want to end homelessness, this is an incredible aim to have so young.
Well, I was always told you've got to have a mission that will outlive you, right? We're a very purpose-driven organization, and we're always focused on a goal that probably won't be fixed in my lifetime. But for me, that's the real mission, is to solve something burning. We are a profit-making business. We're not a charity. We are a business. But for us, it's around having a real key purpose that all of the team every day are driving towards. And do you know what? Even across our remote team, which I know we'll come on to later, while they don't see it and experience it like the team in Manchester do, and the team that are out and about, they really understand what we're doing, and they really back it as well. So it's great to see that across the teams that we've got, everyone is really purpose driven on that homelessness journey.
It is a fantastic vision and a fantastic journey. Now, we've known each other now for about a year and a half. Had a few gigs along the way. Too long. Thanks for that, Ollie. Much appreciated. When we first met, you were still quite a small organization. Tell me about why we first met and why you'd considered hiring, because you've outsourced to the Philippines before. Tell me about the Philippines, and then why did you consider South Africa?
Yeah, I suppose if we take it all the way back to the start, so when we set up this business, it was just two directors, as many businesses start out, and we started to get some commission only salespeople in. But then it sort of a year in, we'd won a really big contract, and we were procuring a lot of properties, and we just knew we needed some admin resource or somebody to do something. And the directors sat down and we had a meeting, and we said, yeah, we absolutely need to bring in some resource. And I think I was introduced to you by a chap called Graham,
Yes.
who I believe he still works with you guys now. I was dead against. So what we agreed is we'd hire an exec assistant, who would work with me to take the workload off me, because I was doing a lot of business development, some sales stuff, a lot of the back office process, and we just hadn't really systemized it out. So I started to go through a journey of systemizing things, and then realized actually I could just put somebody behind this system, this process, and they'd take care of all of that. But me being the control freak, when I envisaged an EA, I thought it'd be someone that would follow me around and would be in my lounge and would work with me all the day. And that's the concept that I wanted. And we hired. We went down and I was really skeptical going down this route when we met and we started to do some interviews. And I was just really skeptical whether it was going to work. And we did a first hire. And she started, and she wasn't perfect for us. We just weren't perfect for each other, but we swapped her out, and we parted ways mutually, and that's when we got Sherry.
Yes.
who was fantastic, and it was really refreshing to have somebody on board that knew that learned the business very intimately, learned me very intimately, and gave me everything that I thought I wanted here in the UK, but just gave it, out in South Africa. And I think the key thing for us, and we've still got a team in the Philippines, and we've got a team in South Africa, and we've got a team here in Manchester. I think all have their individual roles, and I think all are very good at different things. I think the Philippines, we have sort of repetitive tasks out there that get done in terms of more data processing kind of tasks. We have some front office functions in South Africa, dealing with clients, dealing with landlords, and then we've retained the sales function here in Manchester. So I don't think there's you might have a different view, but I don't think there's one place that's got all of the answers. But I absolutely believe that outsourcing in the right place for the right task in the right way can be really powerful for the organization.
I totally agree with you. And the Philippines and India, they have a really great place and a great purpose. So where South Africa really excels is obviously what you've highlighted, that customer service side of things, the executive support system, the operations management, anything where you need some intuition and some thinking outside the box and creativity. That's where South Africa really excels. Now, when we first met, you were dead set against the remote model. I don't think I've ever worked with anyone so against working with me at the beginning, in a very charming way, but you were adamant that it wasn't going to work, and you had to have, as you already said, it needed to be an in-person place. You gave it a chance. What changed your mind along the journey? What for you thought, let's give it a whirl?
Yeah, so I absolutely was dead set against it for the reasons I mentioned earlier. Is that I perceive that what I look for when we hire is somebody that's going to own a process. I don't want somebody that's just going to do a task and wait for the next instruction. And I felt that that's maybe what we might get. And therefore, I'd just be endlessly typing messages with tasks to do. And by the time you've typed the message, you might as well have done the task yourself. And that's what I was really refreshed with the South African talent that we've got, and we've still got and grown, is that they've all become subject matter experts in their own sort of space, and they've ran their kind of the process, and we've now got Kiarah, who leads a team, and they've got their own responsibilities and all that kind of stuff. So that's what I saw. I was absolutely willing to give it a go, but that's what I saw in Sherry, was that actually she's just picked up this thing that I thought only I could do and gone and done it in her own way, and he's getting the same results, and if not better. And so that just meant I could lose that as part of my mind and just go, right, I don't need to think about that anymore. I've got somebody there who's integrated with the team, who's managing the team, who's doing that whole thing. I've seen the way she does it. I've seen the output. Great. And that was when we went, okay, well, we could, she's now over capacity. We need another person. And what else? What other tasks can we do? And we've widened it ever since.
So tell me a bit about Kiarah, because she's a fantastic success story within your business. You wouldn't mind explaining a little bit about what she's done and what she does and what she's doing and what she will be doing without.
Yeah, absolutely. So Kiarah is, as you know, but for the benefit of those listeners, my current exec assistant. And well, I just define what she does by everything, obviously. But she's really embedded. So she works with all of my direct reports. She preps finance reports. She preps the board pack. She sits in the senior leadership team. She runs all of the team's progression in terms of communicating with landlords. She runs a team that oversees a sales process along with the head of sales, as well as just running my daily life. I get about 200 emails a day, which she screens down to about 30 that I need to actually handle, manages calendar, just sort of anything and everything. And you really hit the nail on the head a few months ago. And she just defends my time. I think it's really, you don't think of it like that, but as a leader of an organization or as part of a startup or whatever, your time is really precious. And somebody who weeds out the wheat from the chaff and goes, yeah, just, no, actually, you need to speak to so and so and not Ollie, or you need to speak to so, and goes, right, okay, well, how long do you need? What time is it? What is knowing Ollie, that's a priority, so I'm going to put it in tomorrow versus that's not, so I'm going to put it in next week. Just having somebody that really understands you is really powerful, because they defend your time, as opposed to somebody who just, yeah, let's just fill up the calendar, great, and let's make sure it's all nicely organized. Actually, it's going one step further and going,
Since you've
go
had
what they need and the
Kiarah,
priority.
since you've had Kiarah and Sherry and then Kiarah, have you found that your productivity has increased because of that directly?
Yeah, yes. My personal productivity, yes, absolutely. And the only reason I hesitated, because we've also done some organizational restructures in that as well, and put a new senior leadership team in place, and created some real sort of silos, is an awful word, but almost silos of activity. We've put some departments in place and stuff like that, which Kiarah has been pivotal to organizing and stuff. So yeah, fundamentally, it's another pair of hands that's dealing with the stuff that you don't need to focus on. It's that whole, I watched a YouTube video of a guy, he split his time and value of tasks over 4 different quadrants, and he focuses on high value, high important activities. Anything that's going to move the business 20% forward is what he's there to do. Anything else is other people kind of thing. And that's where having the right exec assistant or the right leadership team or whatever is really key, because it frees you up to not have to be in the car on constant phone calls. I can actually, like I was yesterday, sat in the car for 2.5 hours on the way back from Kent, thinking, yeah, okay, this is how we're going to restructure the sales process. And this is the resource we're going to require it. And it was just my thinking time. And there was no call on that time, because I wasn't required call after call after call after call. So it gives you your time back to have those
Giving you the
thinking time.
ability
It's
to
strategic.
push the business forward and be the
Yeah.
business rather than working on the business.
It
Yeah,
was
that's a big
that was
change.
that when Sherry joined us, that was the really big moment for me, was recognizing that actually, oh crap, I don't need to work in it. I can work on it. That whole thing, and we're still a new business. This business is 3 or 4 years old or whatever. But recognizing, oh, actually, I can spend a day not doing the day to day. That all gets taken care of, and I'm going to focus on over here. How do we optimize this, or how do we change that, or that whole working on the business. That for me is what and arguably it doesn't matter whether it's insourced or outsourced, but having the right person in the right place in the right role, and we've done it through outsourcing, has really shown me the art of the possible.
Now, something that I've really admired about you, because this is not something that everyone succeeds well at, is because you actually have that in-person office still. You're very passionate about having an office. You've managed to merge outsourcing with an office environment. What struggles have you faced there? Because there are some challenges having teams in different countries.
Yeah, I think so. The reason I am so keen on having people in an office and in-person working, says he sat at home on a Friday afternoon doing a podcast. It's the collaboration piece. It's there's no barrier to communication, and that's why we keep our sales function very much in Manchester, and in an office. But we've then been able to optimize with systems and stuff like that, so that the process flows really quickly. But there is still a barrier to communication. People don't talk over Slack and whatnot as easy as they do talking to their mate next to them kind of
How
thing.
do you overcome that? Because we've been working together now for well over a year, 18 months, and it's obviously successful because I can see the results where we know each other. There's some challenges in merging 2 teams. What challenges have there been, and how have you overcome those?
I can't say that we've done a huge amount in overcoming them. We've just been very fortunate that we've had a team that all quite get on, are invested in a common goal and invested in each other, and fundamentally like each other, which is not always possible. That's not something we've created. That's just by virtue of the people we've hired, they've got on and enjoyed the work that they're doing. But I just think you have to be aware of it. We've streamlined certain communications to be automated through the business based on process, so we're not reliant on human links to move things along. But I still don't think that if I could have everyone in an office from South Africa in the UK, if I could have those people in the UK, I would absolutely put them in an office. But I just think you've got to be of an awareness that there are limiting factors around, outsourcing and communication stuff like that.
I think you
You
hit the
can,
nail on the head actually when you said it's about hiring the right people that all
mm,
like each other. And I think something that we try really hard at remote recruitment is to get the culture fit right.
yeah.
Because even actually in the UK, if you're all in the UK, you still don't see each other every day because you're going out, etc., doing things. So if you do have that common like, common goal, and a team mentality, it it's less important where you are. Definitely, definitely. Do you still have plans for expansion, outsourcing, whether it be in the Philippines or South Africa?
Yeah, absolutely. So we're very clear on what roles we have out in an outsourced function and what we have insourced. We're very much anything that's to do with selling a property and leasing a property and sales will still sit under a sales team in Manchester because a good amount of what we do is boots on the ground, seeing houses, meeting landlords, going to events and stuff like that. So it gets a bit expensive when you've got to fly people in from Cape Town. There's obviously a cost advantage to outsourcing, and you negate that if you have to pay for people to come to the UK every other week. So there'll always be an amount of UK based team, but we're very clear that desk based, on the phone, speaking to people, customer service, customer experience, admin, sort of finance to an extent, those kind of functions absolutely sit in South Africa for us, and our data processing, repetitive activities, social media engagement, those sit in the Philippines for us. And that's how we've broken it down, and that's how it is now. That might change in the future, but that's currently how we're set up with what functions go where, and that's how we choose sort of where a particular role goes.
It's a very successful model that I think that works really well, and it comes back to that key of knowing where to hire and what to hire.
Mm.
I think that's why it's been so successful. How do you hire, not just through us, but what for you do you think is the most successful hiring processes?
Um, Oh, that's a great question. For me, culture comes down to one of the big ones. Is that are both parties going to get on? And I think that's a real key. Is that if you've got a culture fit, and then the second one is, do they show a willingness to learn? I'm not interested in somebody having the most qualifications. I'm not really bothered about that. What I am bothered about is, can I teach this person, and will they fit in is the wrong word, but will they fit in well to part of the organization? Those are the two things. If they're willing, if they show a willingness to learn and they're going to fit into the organization's culture, then I don't really care about what qualifications you've got, because I can teach you, I can show you the ways, I can do what I can show you the living redefined way, as it were. So for me, those are the two key things that we hire on, is that are they going to fit into the culture, and are they fundamentally willing to learn? Because we're in a very niche space and people don't necessarily have the skills, because what we do is very nuanced and very niche. So there's no point trying to hire for the specific skills we do in some roles, but actually in an admin role, an exec assistant role, in those kind of roles, I'm looking for somebody who's going to get on with the team that they're in, and is willing to learn, and we can take care of the rest in their onboarding.
I totally agree with you. I think attitude is so important. If you've got the attitude that you want to learn and you're genuinely interested and genuinely passionate, that's 9/10 of it. A lot, if you're trainable and you have the right attitude, the rest is easy. If you don't
Yeah,
have any of those, it's never going to work. And I agree with you. Remote roles, culture fit, and that attitude is essential. It's absolutely essential. Well, Ollie,
absolutely.
thank you so much for your time. That's it for the Outsourcing Edge. A massive big thanks to Oli Reid from Living Redefined for hearing about all your exciting journey, and look forward to seeing how you grow in the future and hopefully helping you. Loved Ollie's story. Share this, drop me a line on socials, and like and subscribe to the Outsourcing Edge for more hiring hacks. I'm Emily von Eyssen. Thank you so much. See you next time. Thanks, Ollie.